Today, the Minister will speak to us about Ontario's human rights system, 50 years of progress worth defending. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our Attorney General and Minister of Aboriginal Affairs, the Honourable Chris Bentley.
Well, thank you very much, Helen. Thank you for that very kind and generous introduction, and most of all, thank you for your participation in the Canadian Club. What a wonderful opportunity it is to be at the Canadian Club, to be in this wonderful room, and to be with all of you, to have an opportunity to speak about an issue that I know every single person in this room feels passionately about, and that's what the Canadian Club does. You give the people from all walks of life the opportunity to speak about what they're passionate about and what moves them. I want to thank not only the head table guests, but I want to thank all of you for taking the time out from your very busy schedules to be here today. 50 years of progress worth defending. Very kind of you to speak about my role, but I'm but one of many. And I wanted to speak a little bit today about the journey. And I wanted to extend a thanks to all those, some of whom we know and some of whom we'll never know, for their role in human rights. And one of those I'd like to start by thanking is my colleague for being here, Minister Eric Hoskins. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for the work that you do in the area of human rights. Thank you very much. You know, as we sit here in this hotel, in this room, in the heart of the GTA in the province of Ontario, and in the great country of Canada, we are blessed. This is a special place. We have to live in the best country and in the best province in the world. As we sit here in the province of Ontario, we are part of a province that has people from all over the world. Over 200 countries, as many ethnic origins, every faith, over 150 languages. You won't find a place as diverse anywhere in the world. And in the midst of this most diverse place, we have peoples who live together, work together, play together peacefully. You won't find that anywhere else. I challenge you to suggest where that might be. And you won't find it in any place as diverse as this. And so the question you might ask is how? The question you might ask is why? Because what we have here in the province of Ontario didn't just happen. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't inevitable. Because if it was, it would happen at other places in the world. It would happen in so many places much less diverse than ours. But it doesn't. What we have here is unique. It's special. What we have here is the result of a lot of very hard work. What we have here is undoubtedly the result of many different issues, much different work. But I'm going to suggest to you today that one of the reasons that we enjoy this very unique place in which to live is because of our approach to resolving issues relating to human rights. That one of the reasons that we manage to be the most diverse place in the face of the earth, where people from all over can live, work, play, can join our founding peoples in such a unique society, is the approach we've developed over the past 50 years to the resolution of human rights issues, and our determination to continue strengthening our protections for human rights, the protections for those around us. You know, when you have a society as diverse as ours, with new people arriving every day, over 100,000 people arrive in Ontario every single year, it would be inevitable that there would be questions that arise, issues that arise. The new, the unfamiliar often present questions. They often present challenges. They often present issues. The question is, how do you address those issues? We have had a strong tradition in the province of Ontario for addressing issues, for challenging the new that is presented, challenging the old that exists, making sure that as we're confronted with new peoples, new faiths, new issues, we work as hard as we can to continue to develop the most open, the most inclusive, the most respectful society you can find anywhere. And it can be work. These are challenging issues. And they are presented to us at many different times. Some easy economic times, some not so easy. So it has been a lot of very important, sometimes hard work over the years that has given the province of Ontario and has created the province of Ontario. And it's not simply the issues that are presented by those newly arrived. No, we have found a way to address issues that have been long-standing. We have found a way as a society. And our approach to human rights is one of those ways. To challenge what has always been and ask whether it must be so. A simple example of that are the rights of women. We are prepared to challenge and to question, to make sure that the answers we achieve, the answers we arrive at, will continue to build a very strong and inclusive society. I'm going to suggest to you that Ontario rests on a very strong foundation, and one of the foundation pieces, one of the critical foundation pieces, is the human rights system we have developed. I say we, those in this room, those outside, those who have gone before, have developed over more than 50 years. Our approach to human rights is one of those defining features of our foundation. It is what enables a society such as this to exist as it does, such a unique place. And there are many people. There are many people and many organizations within this room and outside who will see the approach we have today toward human rights, will see their contribution, their work, the work of their organization. They'll see their contribution in where we are. And to all of you and to all of them, I say thank you. I say thank you for what you have contributed and for what you have helped build. And today I just want to refer directly and specifically to one. His name was Hugh Burnett. And Hugh Burnett wanted a coffee. Quintessentially Canadian, don't you think? That when you talk about the great issues of the day, you start with a request for a cup of coffee. Something Canadians do millions of times every day. Now, Hugh Burnett made his request at McKay's restaurant in Dresden. And Dresden, you will recall, was the terminus of the Underground Railroad. That great transportation corridor that lifted people from the bonds of slavery to the joys of freedom. So many ended up in Dresden in southwestern Ontario, and the people of Dresden and Ontario and Canada developed a reputation for helping people come from where they were and start a new life. Find the joys that are Ontario and Canada. Now in 1948, Mr. Burnett entered McKay's restaurant and made his request for a cup of coffee. And they wouldn't serve him. Now Mr. Burnett signed up to serve in the Second World War, taken his basic training, and for medical reasons couldn't continue. But he was prepared to sacrifice for his country, but they wouldn't serve him. And Mr. Burnett turned to that to develop his trade as a carpenter. And he was very successful. He applied that trade in Dresden and the surrounding area. So he had money to pay for the cup of coffee. But they wouldn't serve him. And Mr. Burnett was a resident of the area, so they knew him. So when Mr. Burnett sat down and requested this cup of coffee, they knew. Signed up for the war, carpenter, resident, but they wouldn't serve him. You see, Mr. Burnett was black, and they didn't serve black people in McKay's restaurant in 1948 in the province of Ontario, even though it was the terminus of the Underground Railroad years before. Now, that wasn't specific to McKay's restaurant, and it wasn't specific to Dresden, and it wasn't specific to southwestern Ontario. In fact, there were many places in Ontario that didn't serve people, and color was one barrier, religion another. There were many reasons people weren't given access to employment, services, or a cup of coffee. And from that moment, Mr. Burnett started a journey. You know, he couldn't look to the people of the community. He did organize a referendum, which he lost. He couldn't look to the people of the community for the resolution. He couldn't look to the courts because at the time they weren't particularly friendly. He couldn't look to the law because it wasn't supportive. And he couldn't look to the government. So he did what he became known for doing. He agitated. In fact, Mr. Burnett's motto was agitate, agitate, agitate. And he started a journey of many years, a journey that was joined by people whose names you'll recognize, like Bora Laskin and David Lewis, and many who will never know. Some joined the journey at great risk to themselves or their family. Mr. Burnett, in fact, moved from Dresden to London because they stopped using his carpentry business in Dresden after he made his request. And his journey for his cup of coffee actually concluded in 1955. Not exactly express service. 1955. After the government of the day introduced two pieces of legislation, he and others were able to return, and they were able to get their cup of coffee, even though they were black. Now, Mr. Burnett's journey was recognized. It was recognized for having helped start the push for the Human Rights Commission and the Human Rights Code. A journey which was recognized by the province of Ontario July 31st, 2010 through a heritage dedication ceremony in Dresden, Ontario. A journey which has inspired many, and a journey the fruits of which are with us today, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce and to recognize his daughters, Patricia and Cheryl. Thank you very much for joining us today.